Welcome to the Order of the Black Madonnas, day 4 of Madonna Holy Week. And tonight we're going to be honoring Our Lady of Meymac. Now, Our Lady of Meymac is actually French, but she's known as the Egyptian. And we're going to talk a little bit about her mythos and the meaning of her as we get into our ceremony. And we use the monthly ceremony that we do in the order for this week's activities. And in this week's activities, every day we're working with a candle, maybe some incense if you like, and I have the Mother Mary Oracle, just in case you have it at home, you can go and get it. There's so much more to each card than I'm able to read in a given night. And of course, as I've mentioned all week, we have these monthly ceremonies. We are on the 4th Wednesday of every month, and we are usually at 7 p.m. Pacific time. And next month, we dive in with Mary Magdalene. So you're welcome to continue to join us even beyond this week if your heart calls you to. Let's take a moment for some silence and just to gather ourselves and our energies wherever our minds have gone this day, whatever we've been working on or doing. We're calling all of that energy home now to ourself, to our center, to be present in this now moment, to hold space for the Black Madonna in our hearts. And if you feel like lighting some incense, you're welcome to do so, to create that olfactory connection, that scent connection to the mother. You might behind me hear a little meowing of kittens. There are 2 new rescues who just came into our sanctuary last night who are going to be looking for homes. So we're honoring the Black Madonnas as we're doing her work here in this house, caring for these little lost wayward creatures who were out in the middle of the woods. And this week we had hail and thunder and lightning. And so let's take a moment now to call in the quarters with these beautiful directional invocations written by Priestess Lenny. At the edge of space, Ave Tenebros Clara. At the east, Ave Hodegetria, she who shows the way. Dark Mother, we call to you. Black Madonna of Czestochowa, shine your guiding light and be with us. Ave. At the south, Rosa Mystica, Dark Mother, we call to you. Virgen Santissima de Guadalupe, glow your radiant grace and be with us. Ave. At the west, Stella Maris, Star of the Sea, Dark Mother, we call to you. Sainte Marie de la Mer, pour out your mercy and be with us. Ave. And at the north, Sedis Sapientia, O throne of wisdom, Dark Mother, we call to you. Black Madonna of Montserrat, stand as our mountain sanctuary against the storms of a troubled world. Ave. Let's honor our ancestors. All of us have ancestors who are easy and ancestors who are complicated. Ancestors we know that we've loved, and ancestors that maybe we didn't know, or ancestors that we struggle with. And we hold a space for them all with benevolence. We have the same blood as our sister. We have the same heart as our grandmother. Tonight we honor you. Tonight we welcome you. Welcome. We have the same blood as our brothers. We have the same heart as our grandfathers. Tonight we honor you. Tonight we welcome you. Welcome. Welcome to the ancestors. And let's take a moment now to light our candles with this prayer. Great Mother, by the power of this candle flame, may I live well to honor your name. By the light of this candle flame, may I be merciful and receive the same. By earth below and stars above, may I walk gently with grace and love. By starry sky and shining sea, I trust in you. Watch over me. And so I reloaded the photo. So this was last night's photo here right in the middle. That was Our Lady Châtillon-sur-Seine. That is the Madonna who was burnt in the 18th century and then who was reconsecrated later in replica form. This is the Madonna of resurrecting infants and resurrecting those who have experienced illness. And then tonight we are here with this Madonna, Our Lady of Meymac, Meymac. And Meymac is in France. And at the same time, even though Our Lady of Meymac is in France, in the Limousin region, she is actually known as, quote unquote, the Egyptian. So we're going to talk about that. So there is a Benedictine abbey there in Lady of Meymac. It's actually Saint-André Saint-Léger de Meymac is the full name. It's in the Limousin region, and it is a painted wood icon. And this is admittedly one of the most unusual Madonnas of the French Black Madonna tradition. Often, Black Madonnas appear as they do in these first three pictures, either wearing some version of the polos crown or some type of diadem with veil, or in almost like a hijab style veil. This is the first Madonna we've seen this week, and one of the only Madonnas in the world from antiquity that was depicted wearing a turban or a head wrap, not similar to the other famous Madonnas of the time. So we believe she was first carved in the 12th century. She's wearing a turban. Her skin is very dark. We can't see it in this photo, but the turban is actually open at the top, and you can see that she has black hair poking up through the turban. There is actually about this Madonna a kind of an almost Buddhist iconography. She's depicted in what might be considered the excuse me, Orientalist style of the turn of the 20th century, although she's from originally the 12th century. She is another Madonna whose original form was destroyed. This one was destroyed in 1514 by Cardinal Briconnet there in the church at Saint-Germain-des-Prés. She was, in fact, a version of Mary who was designed to resemble Egyptian clothing and to almost be similar to a statue of Isis, even though she has almost Asiatic features with her, you know, turban, her eyes. There is something that's kind of quote unquote classically Oriental about her. And I don't mean Oriental as in the description of a person. I mean Oriental as in of the period of Orientalism, which is very popular in Europe at the turn of the 20th century, but she's much older than that. This French artist gave her the title Our Lady the Egyptian, and people referred to her for numerous years as the Egyptian. Obviously, many authors have pointed to connections between the Egyptian goddess Isis and the Virgin Mary. And Mary has, in fact, replaced Isis in the modern world in terms of who Isis would have been had she continued unchecked. So there were temples to Isis, groups of people dedicated to Isis, a priestesshood of Isis. There was a mystery school. There was a lineage of teachings of Isis that were actually lost or suppressed due to colonization. And the figure of Mary in her Black Madonna form has kind of inherited this legacy. And we see this even to this day. There are numerous organizations, mostly today run by white women, who are worshiping the Madonna as the original priestess, the original goddess devotee, a devotee of Isis. But actually, most of that is based on a fictional book that was written, the Gaia Codex. And in fact, there's a much older lineage of Black and brown women worshiping Isis secretly under the hem of the Virgin Mary. And I just think it's important that even if we belong to or support any of the current endeavors of honoring Black Madonnas or the Virgin Mary as an ancient priestess of a goddess, it's really important for us to acknowledge that these are not channeled or awakened mysteries among white women, that actually there was an entire lineage of Black and brown and Indigenous women who all along the way maintained this. And it's been found in the suppression of Yemoja, for example, under the helm or the hem of Stella Maris or the Virgin Mary. And it's also found in this statue, which is admittedly an Asiatic statue or an African-looking statue wearing an African-looking headdress, worshipped as the Virgin Mary. So it's just important for us to note that historically there was something more going on here, and that it hasn't actually just been a recent revivification amongst white goddess women. It's actually something that was a current that was happening all along and embedded in women of color's devotion to various different Black Madonnas worldwide. We don't actually know how people saw this icon. She would be very unusual for her time. She would be considered very exotic in her location. Most French Madonnas have the very typical look that we see in this Madonna Châtillon-sur-Seine, where she's wearing a very classic veil, where even though she's named Black Madonna, she's still comparably light-skinned. but she's a miracle worker, so she's a Black Madonna. But this is a genuine Black Madonna. She's got the darkest color skin of any of the Madonnas that we're honoring this week. And she's specifically called the Egyptian, which speaks to a lineage that comes kind of along with the heritage of this Madonna within the Catholic tradition. Beginning in the 8th century, there were Muslim forces that held large territories in Spain, Portugal, southern Italy, and southern France. And in the 11th century, the Christian armies of crusaders often responded by fighting those Muslims. So war opened a door, perhaps, for individuals to have access to other or alternate stories of Mary. And I think it's important for us to note that Mary is greatly revered by modern day Muslims. She's revered as the mother of Jesus, and Jesus is revered as a prophet within Islam. Many women in Islam today will either be given the name or will receive or choose the name Maryam or Miriam, which is the Muslim version of Mary. And in fact, in Turkey, in Ephesus, right above the entrance to the ancient city of Ephesus and the nearby temple of Ephesus, there is what is believed to be the final dwelling of the Virgin Mary. That after the death of Jesus, she emigrated. She went to Turkey along with John, the apostle, and he set her up in a house there. And this house is perched above a natural spring. And Christians and Muslims alike go to this place to pay reverence and homage to Miriam, Mary, the mother of God, the mother of the prophet, the mother who bore the blessed one on earth, blessed in and of herself. So when we are considering the historical Mary, we're often not given that further information that she lived on, that before her ascension and before she was brought up into heaven or attained the rainbow body, that she actually lived out the rest of her human life, and that in living out the rest of her human life in what later became the Ottoman Empire, she influenced not only the one religion of Christianity, but also multiple religions, including Islam. This particular Mary speaks to that influence, the Ottoman influence, the Moorish influence, the African influence in the south of France. And Our Lady of Meymac, although her original statue was destroyed, and although this statue is also a replica, brings forward that quality, that transcendent quality, the multicultural, multinational quality, through her adornments, her headdress, and the gesture. And I'm sorry that this photo, it got cut off, but whereas the majority of the Madonnas that we study are hodegetria, they're always pointing toward the infant Jesus sitting on their laps. In this particular Madonna, she's pointing specifically. Her hand is sort of relaxed and undifferentiated, moving through space. And in fact, you can kind of see it here, but the hand of Jesus in this statue is doing the same thing. It's undifferentiated. And so there's a lot of power in this image that is inclusive. It's not pointing at this is the one true way or here is the one true God. It's instead gently moving in an organic fashion through space, indicating maybe a sweep or a wider area of inclusion. Her headdress, the fact that you can see her hair, the color of her dark skin, which is obviously not simply the old saw of the Catholic Church, the accumulation of smoke or soot on her face from burning candles, but in fact that the entirety of the statue, up to and including Jesus, up to including their garments, is pristine and also deliberately dark-skinned. It shows that there's this deeper mystery. And I feel like Our Lady of Meymac invites us into that mystery. She invites us into the mysteries of inclusion. She invites us into the mystery of no stranger. She invites us into the mystery of serve the one who is different from you. She invites us into the mystery of we all belong here. So whenever we see these extraordinary images of Black Madonnas who are darker skinned than the others, who are wearing particular costumes or garments or other types of insignia that are more specifically ethnic than the others of that particular region or period, we have an opportunity to expand our vision of the Virgin Mary. And I wanted to just touch on a couple of different ones, because Our Lady of Meymac is only one such Madonna. We also have different Marian statues up to this day that are sculpted that have this kind of unusual look that is a syncretism of the idea of Mary with the physical form of local indigenous women. One such Blessed Mother is located in the Philippines, in Manila, Nuestra Señora del Santísimo Rosario, La Naval de Manila. That's one. There's also a Madonna in Puerto Vaga, Nuestra Señora de Puerto Vaga. These are all Black Madonnas of the Philippines. There are also Vietnamese Black Madonnas now. There's one in San Francisco who is specifically depicted as Vietnamese. In Portland, at the Marian Shrine there, the grotto, there are numerous different depictions of what we might say as ethnic Marys. And these are all different Marian statues that are deliberately depicted as non-white and as not only Mediterranean or Middle Eastern, but where there's a genuinely inclusive vision of the Black Madonna as being global. So tonight, our work with Our Lady of Meymac is all about inclusion, and it's about the fact that when there is a divine being, they will take on whatever form they want to in order to convey their message of love and compassion here on earth. And it is tremendous work in anti-racism to look beyond the expected physical form of a Virgin Mary statue or even a Black Madonna statue, to see that there's this huge variety that's out there, and that while some of these representations end up being goddesses of indigenous peoples that are cloaked in order to survive colonialism and forced colonization and forced conversion, that they found the way to live on, and that they live on in these representations, and that these representations can't actually be suppressed, no matter how many church officials have tried. So that is a little bit about Our Lady of Meymac. I wanted to just touch that in terms of this particular Virgin. There is something about this particular Virgin that has been linked back to alchemy. And we should just remember that Isis is considered to be the original goddess of alchemy. So there's an alchemical principle in Our Lady of Meymac that really does give a direct connection back to Isis Aset, the original alchemist of the Egyptian pantheon. And so let's take a moment now that we've learned about Our Lady of Meymac and her vastness and her spaciousness and her inclusion to honor the petitions that have come in today. And I have just 3 today from our site. Jennifer asks, help my daughter find a steady, safe, and happy path. So lifting for Jennifer and her daughter. Next, Mary sends in prayers for my granddaughter, that she may find her direction in life to make a better life for herself and for her young daughter. Lifting for Mary and her lineage. And finally, from Vanessa, please send more love, energy, faith, trust, and hope to my sweet sister as she faces another round of chemotherapy. May her heart be strong and her healing path clear. Elevating for Vanessa and her sister. And now I'll pause the recording so that we can share personal prayers and petitions. So having lifted our petitions, let's now elevate them with this prayer by Clarissa Pinkola Estes. We lift you up so your soul can be seen by Mother Mercy. She who checks doorways, sees through cracks, and into corners where souls often hide seeking refuge. She who is the Immaculate Heart, sees you easily, greets you warmly, remembers you with love. For she is the mirror of heaven, the tower of ivory, obsidian blade, star of the waters, seat of wisdom. We lift you up so Blessed Mother can see all that you need now in order to bring goodness and contentment, healing and health, understanding and love to you and your beloveds in every possible way. And especially, may all of these be given to you in ways you can most easily see and understand, and in ways you can put to immediate good use. We lift you up because you are knitted up in your earthly mother's womb by one greater, not only born already blessed, but also born as a blessing on all of us. Do not forget this, for we have not forgotten you, and neither and never has your greater mother. Let you walk now forward into this day, both deeply blessed and blessing others with the magnitude of our Holy Mother's love. Amen. All right, and our divination tonight. Today's divination this morning was Our Lady of Sweet Rest. And I felt like it came at the perfect time. I know there are several of us who have had sleepless nights for various reasons. I myself had a sleepless night last night because of kittens. But of course, in many cases, it's worth it. But let's see what other wisdom our mother has for us tonight. In addition to rest, what do we need? Our Lady of Ripening on the Vine. I ask you to surrender your future thinking to me. Although your future contains the promise of great blessings, do not let this distract you from the blessing I bestow upon you in this moment. I ask you to open your arms to my blessings in the here and now. You are the sweet fruit, heavy on the vine. The time for harvest has come. It is your time. Many of us who love the Holy Mother are dreamers. We might be practical and hardworking, attending to the details of daily life and consciousness, but we have hope in our hearts. However, our hope may be for the future, our future, that of our children, that of our planet. This hope is a precious light that is needed in the world, yet our light of hope is also needed in the here and now. We need to be living the divine now, not only dreaming of a more divinely aligned life in a fantasy of our future. The divine wants us to live our light now, to benefit ourselves and the world with our presence now. Yes, we are always growing, yet there is a readiness within us now. This oracle comes as a confirmation. There is something within you, something of you that is ready. Even if the immediate reality doesn't match the fantasy that you once held about how life would be when you finally shared more of yourself with the world, still, you are ready, and now is your time to shine. It is in this shining forth that the manifestation can happen now, not in waiting for it to happen before you reach the destination. The destination will always be in the future rather than happening now. Your manifestation happens through you as you acknowledge that you are already what you are seeking. In this oracle, the Mother asks you to honor the light that is ignited within you now and to act upon it in utter faith. And it goes on to talk about how the world needs us to be dreamers, needs us to be daring, needs us to be willing to be change makers. So let's all of us today and for the next 24 hours spend a little bit of time thinking about how we can create that future right now, how we could take one step to make heaven on earth right now. I think one of the aspects of what happened to the Black Madonnas after colonization and forced conversion is that ancient goddesses who were believed to grant miracles right now in the moment were sort of relegated into the position of blessing you forward to some unforeseen or unknown time in the future when you could eventually earn your way to the reward of salvation rather than being bestowed the gift of the Mother's grace in the now moment just because you exist. And in this way, people were made across the world to feel as what they had to offer was not good enough, and as though the only salvation possible lay in that future. But what if salvation were with us right this very minute? Were in us right this very minute as we save ourselves, as we preserve the best parts of ourselves while continuing to grow and evolve. This is what I think the goddess wants from us. And it's the scariest thing in the world to patriarchy and the colonizer. And so let's come to our closing for yet another night. Great ocean of night, how I adore you. Queen of time and space, I bow down. Mother and defender, I call to you, watch over me. To she of vastness, I bow down again. Mother of all, how I love you, watch over me. Thank you, thank you, thank you for all the silent, secret blessings you bestow. We are all rich in ways we don't even know. Putting out my candle, we come to the end of tonight's ceremony.